Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Nick Hudson this evening. Nick, it's been a while for a few things. It's been a while since Cubs on Tap. Little weekend off, Father's Day on Sunday. Everybody's hanging out with dear old dad. And then on top of it, you and Joey were on the mic on Thursday. So I think it's been a full week for you and I chatting on this microphone. But hey, buddy, we're back after a series win over the weekend, a win to start the series today. How you doing?
Yep. I'm doing fantastic, man. It's good to be back on the mic with you. You know, when you play the Brewers, I always circle these types of games on my calendar. I always get extra excited about them. And it's just so fun. This team is just a fun team this year to watch, and it's even more fun to break it down with you. So I'm looking forward to it.
Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Happy Tuesday. Hey, everyone. Hello. Happy Tuesday indeed. My least favorite day of the week gets a lot better when the Cubs win baseball games. But, Nick, before we talk about tonight's Milwaukee game, we do have to give some love and appreciation to the series win over the weekend. As we are seeing here, NL Central W's Keep Brewin is the name of tonight's episode because the Cubs took 3 out of 4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend. A 3-2 win on Thursday night that featured a Seiya Suzuki home run. That also featured somebody else hit a home run in that game too that I am terribly misremembering right now. But Jameson Taillon pitched great in that one. A really good pitcher's duel on Friday. Unfortunately, the Cubs get beat in extra innings against the Pirates, but Cade Horton went toe-to-toe with Paul Skeens in that one. Saturday's game was a great outing as well. Matthew Boyd continues to look like perhaps the most underappreciated free agency signing ever.
Yeah, really.
Just Tyler continues to eat his words on that one, but Cubs get a big win there. Dansby Swanson with the go-ahead homer in that game to get the Cubbies rolling. And then Sunday, Colin Ray gives up 2 runs, but that's enough to keep the Cubs in the game. Couple of big hits. They take care of business and they walk it off on Father's Day with an Ian Happ walk-off. I mean, all of them one-run games, Nick.
Yeah, yep.
But this team showing that no matter if they're beating teams by 7 or if they're beating teams by 1, they can take care of business when the time comes.
Exactly, and good teams find ways to win games. And, you know, when you don't have your A-plus stuff from the offense, well, you can lean on your pitching side of things, and that's just a sign of a good team, and that's exactly what they did in this series. It's funny, when me and Joey were talking about the series, just previewing it, I said, in no way do I want a split. I just do not want to see it. I don't want it to happen. And then come Sunday, I'm sitting there with my dad, and I'm like, this just feels like one of those games that they're trying to punt away. And I was just very pessimistic about it. But they were able to pull it out, and I was very excited. For me, probably the most disappointing was the fact that I did circle the Skeen start as the one that they would lose, but they really had an opportunity to win it. And that's what kind of sucks for that one, because you did have a good opportunity to go for the sweep there. But nonetheless, they get the job done. They take the series. They keep the momentum rolling with these series W's. They are stacking them up. And it's what we've talked about this whole time, this whole season, is when you do that, you put yourself in a position where you don't have to get sweeps and you don't have to rely on that and put that extra pressure on you, and you can just perform. And the offense has been in a bit of a funk, I would say, you know, just a bit, but they're starting to come out of it. And tonight, you know, proved that they're starting to come out of it too. Not like 10 runs like some predicted, but still they put more than 3 up. So it was awesome to see.
100% apologies there. I was trying to pull up the box score, and of course, MLB app wants to hit me with advertisements when I'm trying to listen to Nick deliver his soliloquy on the Cubs. But you're 100% right, man. Like, I think that was the most frustrating thing about that Friday game. You know, watching it and just taking it in. Of course, it was just a crappy day, the rain, and you factor all that in, and then you lose in extras with 100% an opportunity to take that one. It's tough, but again, like you said, when you stack series wins, especially after 2 series losses on the road to Detroit and then to Philly, that feels really good coming back home and taking 3 out of 4 against. And again, I don't care if it's the Pirates. I understand that everybody's like, well, you should beat the Pirates. Yes, in theory, but baseball is weird. It's the sport with the greatest amount of parity. Like, the worst team in baseball in most divisions still wins like 70 out of 162 games. So if you're going by the 500 rule, they're 10 games less than 500. Like, it's a toss-up. Like, that's baseball. And so for them to take care of business over the weekend, like you said, and again, it wasn't necessarily pretty, but they got really good pitching. And that was one of the takeaways that I had from that series. A shameless plug. I wrote an article over at ontapsportsnet.com on Monday on the off day, just kind of 3 things we learned from that series win. And one of them was near quality pitching. I believe I titled it near perfect quality. What I mean by that, 3 out of your 4 pitchers in that series had quality starts, and Cade Horton was 1 out away from having a quality start.
Yep.
You're getting quality starts without Shota Imanaga and Justin Steele in your rotation, and these guys are continuing to stack those quality starts upon one another. That's huge, and that's going to go a long, long way for this team over the course of the season. We also learned, Nick, that Drew Pomeranz is in fact human and he's not a robot. He's still in the ERA because the ghost runner rule is it's an unearned run.
Exactly.
But he gives up a run as a member of the Chicago Cubs. That's his first run given up. I mean, him and just it's so fascinating to step back. And you and I were talking a little bit before the show because we were talking about tonight's bullpen performances in the Tuesday night win. And you mentioned how you've become so accustomed to just lock down relief pitching recently.
Oh, yeah.
100% true. We've gotten incredible pitching from the bullpen as fans watching this team. But it's the names when you step back and you really think about it. And it's hard not to go, son of a bitch, Jed, what do you know? Like, what do you know that nobody else knows? Because the Cubs have spent next to no money on this bullpen. Think about it. Next to no money. Caleb Thielbar was what, $2 million? A little over $2 million, maybe just a hair shy of 3.
Yeah.
Yes, you got Presley, but you traded for him, and the Astros sent you money to take on some of his contracts. So you're not even paying the whole amount of his contract. Everybody else is like $1 million here, $2 million there. A lot of these guys are still pre-yard players, so they're making under $1 million. And yet it's Brad Keller, Drew Pomeranz, and these kind of guys getting the job. Like, what year is it? Is it 2020 or 2019?
Right. I know. It's
unbelievable.
No, it is. It is. And the Brad Keller has been my biggest shock of all. I've just been like not expecting that out of Keller. And he is just a dominant dude out there too, personality wise as well. He brings a lot. And that play he made tonight, that ball, you know, a little squibber up the middle there that he took. A lot of guys throw that ball into right field. That's a whole different game at that point if you do that. So 100%. He just has the confidence, and this, like you said, that's exactly what's happened to me. Is I've just gotten so used to this bullpen just being locked down, just being nails. And the thing is it's a night and day difference from the beginning of the season to now, because I remember the beginning of the season pounding the drum of, oh, this bullpen, it's falling apart. Oh, what are we going to do? And even in the season preview, I'm really worried about the bullpen. And I thought, oh, see, I was right. But no, put a big dunce cap on my head because they've been great. They've been awesome. And I'm happy to see it, man. It's like we say, you know, it's great to be wrong when, you know, the Cubs are doing well. I'll happily be wrong.
I will be happily incorrect anytime I am pessimistic about the Chicago Cubs. Yeah. Anytime, happily. I will put my hand up and I'll say, you know what? Call me a doofus and paint a clown on my face, because I'm cool with being wrong. And to your point, if you would have told me, Nick, that halfway through June, or just over halfway through June now, that Brad Keller would lead the Cubs bullpen in holds, I would not believe you.
No.
But that's the case. He's got 11 after tonight.
Wow.
I mean, that's impressive. Like, he's not just going out there and giving you innings. Like, he is doing shit. A 2.10 ERA. He's pitched 34 1/3. He's walked 10. He's struck out 33. His whip is a 102. I mean, he's getting the job done. He is getting the job done. And you know what's crazy? You look at the rest of this bullpen. Caleb Thielbar, who pitched tonight, and we're going to obviously talk a little bit more about. He's got a 1.69 ERA with below a 1 whip. Daniel Palencia's got a 167 and is now 7 of 8 on save opportunities. He's got below a 1 whip. Drew Pomeranz in 18 and a third innings has yet to allow an earned run, and he has a .65 whip. I mean,
wow, it's absurd.
And even Ryan Presley, who everybody dogged and clowned, even though he was very clearly hurt, I think, early in the season, and you saw it, and then he got the knee drained, and he's been a lot better since. Take away that Giants game, he's given up like 3 earned runs the whole season.
I know, and people are still.
And
I saw
people are
someone
still
talking about
poo-pooing
DFAing him. I'm like, what are you talking?
Unreal. He's also 5 of 5 on save opportunities. He's like the only pitcher on the staff that hasn't blown a save. Oh, that's not true. Chris Flexen hasn't blown a save either, by the way. But I mean, this bullpen has been hilarious. Like
Flexen's
genuinely
pretty funny.
Right. I mean, like here, listen to this. This is Chris Flexen's stat line. He's pitched 11 games. He's also pitched 18 and a third innings, just like Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz has pitched in 20 games. 11 games. So he's always going at least probably an inning plus more often than not. He's allowed 10 total hits. He also has allowed a run, but it's not an earned. He's walked 5 and he's struck out 10. He's got a .82 whip. But again, that's this Cubs bullpen. It's awesome. It's a bunch of borderline nobodies, unless you're a diehard baseball fan and you know these names. And they're getting it's not even getting the job done. It's excelling.
Oh yeah, they're dominating. Yeah, they're making Craig's job very easy.
Yeah.
Really.
Who do you want to face tonight? Because it doesn't fucking matter, because half of the bullpen has a sub-2 ERA.
Yeah. I mean,
the other half is sub-4. Who do you want?
Who do you want? It's great.
It's unbelievable. Awesome. It's a great problem to have. Great problem to have. Do got to give some love to the comment section here, Nick. Before we focus a little bit more on Tuesday night's game, we had to give love to the Pirates series. Again, they take 3 out of 4. We love to see it. It was a beautiful weekend in the Chicagoland area. The wind was blowing in. I don't give a shit. They won ball games. It's all fine and dandy.
Exactly.
Darren here is requesting a proof of life on Mr. Juice. He is alive. We promise.
He's alive.
Juice had a new venture in his day-to-day life come up. And he's been traveling a shit ton as a result of it. So that is a big reason why you have yet to see Mr. Juice here on these airwaves. Don't you worry. We're intending on getting him on here sooner rather than later. Christopher Cole here says, searching for Swanson's bat. It's funny.
Yeah.
Like Dansby's struggled with the bat, but he's come through in really big moments when they've needed him to.
Yeah, and he's very spotty.
He is spotty. But I'm kind of okay with that. Especially when it's like go ahead home runs.
Lineup, that's just my opinion. Like keep him down at 7, all the time. I
think when you look back to Dansby's best seasons offensively, it's when he was hitting 6 and 7 in Atlanta. Yep. Because you had Freddie Freeman and you had Ronald Acuna Jr. and you had Ozzie Albies and you had Austin Riley and all those guys hitting in front of him. And you could kind of make the argument the Cubs have that right now, right? You have PCA hitting in front of him. You have Michael Busch either hitting in front of him or behind him. You've got, Seiya Suzuki hitting in front of him, Kyle Tucker hitting in front of him. So you've got the big guns kind of hitting in front of him. And to me, that is perfect for what he needs. Darren says here, Papaloose was the only one in the tri-state area that knew the bullpen would straighten out. He was right. Son of a bitch. My dad was right.
Totally right.
Kudos to you, Dad. Well done. I'm surprised he's not watching. He probably tinkered out. It's a little late. They're also having air conditioning issues at my parents' house tonight. So he's dealing with
now.
Yeah. So
my
parents have 2 levels. So as a result, they have 2 air conditioning units, one for each level.
Oh, okay.
And that's just how the house was when they moved in. The upstairs one, which is where all their bedrooms are, is so it's 85 degrees according to my mom, who I spoke to earlier. I even offered my guest room with air mattresses for them because my house is a cool, calm, collective 70 degrees. Neither here nor there. So he might be teetered out after a long day, but he was right. Son of a bitch. He was right. That one gets a gold sticky star because my dad can come back and see that later. And then Darren said here another follow-up. He says, even made the unfortunate injury to Hobb and early words that Presley turned into positive, finding a save guy in Palencia, and now Presley has found a groove. 100%.
Palencia,
good shit's going.
Yeah. Plunsey
Good
is
shit.
another guy that you can talk about and be like, that's just a saving grace to have a guy like that do so well.
Speaking of Daniel Palencia, Nick, can we take a little side venture before we totally dive into Tuesday's game here?
I'd be
I think
glad.
I think those at home watching along or listening will appreciate this side venture. How many of the trades from 2021 do you recall? At least roughly off the top of your head.
Not too many. I mean,
Not too many.
not a big trade follower.
So,
but I know the trades. When you say them, I'll go, oh, yeah.
me being an absolute psychopath, I remember most of these, and I'm going to pull up the ones that I might not remember, but I'm gonna pull up what I can here. Chris Bryant gets traded. Alexander Canario didn't work out with the Cubs. He is a major leaguer though. He's with the Pirates. We saw him over the weekend. Caleb Killian back in the Cubs organization, but was originally DFA'd. He's on a minor league deal. They're trying to see if there's something there. You could call it a wash. San Francisco ultimately never re-signs KB. It was a pure rental. Nobody really wins. Anthony Rizzo. Alexander Vizcaino never works out, never even reports. They ultimately release him. Kevin Alcantara, high upside prospect. Don't know what he is at the major league level yet, but he's good depth, right? And he's maybe a trade chip, right? Even as soon as this year.
True.
Craig Kimbrell. At the time, we thought Cody Hoyer was going to be the dude, and then just injuries derailed his career a little bit. Yep. And Nick Madrigal was semi-serviceable for a few seasons, and obviously they've since moved on from him. Jake Marisnick went to the Padres for a bag of beans, and Anderson Espinoza, pitching prospect, never became anything. Perhaps the two best trades, in hindsight now that we're 4 years removed, or almost pretty close to 4 years, it'll be 4 years in a couple of weeks. The two best trades from that deadline were, obviously, Trevor Williams and Javier Baez in the New York Mets for this guy, who we're going to talk a little bit about.
That one I recall. Yep.
Pete Crow Armstrong. That one was awesome.
That's a great one.
But perhaps the most underappreciated trade when it was all said and done, because Jock Peterson trade yielded nothing. Bryce Ball really never went anywhere. The Chicago Cubs for Andrew Chafin received number 9 prospect from Oakland, Greg Diekman, who you may remember.
Yep.
And a minor league right-hander that nobody knew what the fuck he was, named Daniel Palencia.
Oh, wow.
Daniel Palencia was the throw-in for Andrew Chafin. And now he's locking down games and he leads the Cubs in saves. In a competitive year, throwing one-on-one gas on the gun. How fucking cool is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty spectacular.
Wow.
Pretty spectacular, man. That trade to me, like, I know everybody remembers the Pete Crow Armstrong trade, and rightfully so.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
But the fact that Daniel Palencia was a throw-in, and remind you, Chafin didn't re-sign in Oakland, I believe. I believe Chafin immediately left after the season was over. So the 2021 A's gave away this wild throwing. He was a starter at one point, and they were like, we don't know what to do with him. And the Cubs were like, we do. Give us. And now they kind of have a two-headed monster as closers right now, right? That's how it ultimately plays out and pans out. And Hank's dropping a couple of good ones here as well. These were from other years, right? We were kind of highlighting that 2021 deadline more so than anything. But a good point here. Owen Casey comes as a part of the Yu Darvish trade. Obviously, Zach Davies, a couple of Reginald Preciado, a few other prospects came as a part of that trade as well. But Owen Casey, certainly the name that means the most. Another great trade, David Robertson, half a season of him in 2022 yields Ben Brown. So again, like, kind of going back to what we mentioned with what I mentioned earlier about, like, what does Jed know? The guy's done a lot of good shit in a very short amount of time.
He really has. He really has. I mean, you got to give Jed his flowers, especially with this year. I mean, we were kind of talking about will he feel like, will he be on the hot seat? All this nonsense. Now it looks like nonsense
It
because,
really does.
man, he's really done well. And everything he's done is really looking great. Like,
Yep.
really good.
And the Cam Smith trade, I know people are always going to look at that one and be like, what if? But like Isaac Paredes wasn't going to do what he's doing in Houston and Chicago. That's just not
No.
the type of hitter he is. And that's okay. Some guys are better in other places. That's just the name of the game. Hayden Wesneski, unfortunately, I believe has Tommy John. So like
Yeah.
he's done for the year now, but he was pitching pretty well for Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cam Smith, right? Like that was the trade. But you got Kyle Tucker, who's probably going to be an all-star. He's going to be in the conversation potentially for MVP when it's all said and done. I mean, huge stuff there. Friend of the program, Mr. Praz here, saying shout out to the sheriff for helping us get Mr. Palencia, 100%. And the Mets got fleeced. Yes, they did, Christopher. Yes, they did. So let's talk about tonight's game, Nick, because we have to talk about Pete Crow Armstrong because he did a lot of good shit. Not only did the Cubs obviously win, you and I got big dinger points. I'm coming, boys, by the way. I'm coming. I got 9 points now. I'm like 2 off of everybody. I'm coming.
I called that dinger. I called it. I knew it was coming.
You felt it down your plums.
Tweet. I was like, it's coming. I knew it.
Attaboy. And it was a big one, right? That was a momentum shifter. Cubs were trailing 2-1. Ben Brown still pitched really well. 5 strong innings, 2 runs. You'll happily take it. I hate to say it. I think we're quickly seeing who will be moved out of the rotation once Shota returns.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it's Colin Ray or Cade Horton.
Joey thought it might be Ray, which the other day when we were talking, I was like, maybe, but then Brown's just really struggled. Yeah. And we said that could happen, and it looks like that's what's happened is Brown's just kind of making the decision a lot easier than what we thought it was going to be.
100%. 100%. And it is what it is, but he gave you a good ball tonight. He's able to, keep them in the game, obviously. But, and the craziest part about tonight's game, the huge homer from Seiya really turned the tide, gave the Cubs the lead. They never looked back, even, with Genesis Cabrera giving up the run there in the 6th. They were able to hold them off, right? Keller pitches great. All the big guns out of the bullpen come in. Thielbar comes in. Obviously, Palencia shuts it down. But how about Pete Crow Armstrong going from making like a 5% probability catch in center field in the top of the 8th and then hitting a 452-foot missile in the bottom of the 8th?
Right off the scoreboard.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Probably broke a couple bulbs too.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that thing was pounded. And like you said, to go from that catch, which was just, I couldn't even believe it happened. I didn't have my contacts in at the time, and I had to ask my girlfriend, I'm like, did he just catch that fucking ball? She's like, he sure did. I'm like, holy crap. And then I go over to turn on the oven, and then I hear Boog's call, which was great. I'm like, did he just hit one off the scoreboard? Like, he is just a fun player.
He is a fun player. Praz with a good question here. Has anyone ever hit the right field board since Schwarber before tonight? Belly did last year, I believe, against the Rockies. I think that home run with the belly chance homer. I think that one, if I remember correctly, I think that one went off the score.
I don't think it was as high up as his PCAs, though.
No, God, no. I mean, 452.
Like 3/4 of the way up that thing. It was awesome.
So I'll tell people this at home because I was not really unfortunately, I was listening to Pat Brown tonight because I was moving around and doing stuff. My favorite part about listening to them is you get their reaction and then you go watch the highlight and then you create your own reaction almost. And I was like, how far did it go? And then I heard they said it went like 450 feet. And I'm like, oh my God, that thing, if that thing is in the right field bleachers, it's almost on Sheffield.
Oh yeah, point. It would have been. Yeah.
But hitting the scoreboard's just as cool.
It's so fun. It's just as cool. I love a scoreboard shot. It's awesome.
Also hilarious and big shout out. I forget who it was that did it because I need to get better at this. I need to give credit where it's due. Somebody put together the pictures of Pete's jerseys made the 452.
I saw that. Yep, for the 450. Yep.
Genuinely enjoyed that.
Yeah, I wish I knew who it was too.
That was fun. That was a good one. Speaking of PCA, Praz wishes that he would have slowed his trot on his homer after getting plunked a little bit earlier. You know,
we were talking about that a little bit. I mean, because I saw it happen. I was kind of disappointed that he got hit because, you got Swanson behind him, and Swanson obviously is hit or miss. So I really wanted to see him swing the bat, and I thought the PCA might have dropped the elbow a little bit. He's one of those team players. He's going to get on base. He does everything to win, and that's what you want. Like, he's not when he first came up, there was a lot of people that just thought he was kind of showboaty and kind of like this arrogant young kid that whatever. But I always knew that he just wanted to play ball and just win, and he just had that energy in him, that flame. And that's kind of why I did my season prediction, because I just felt his energy even last year when he was struggling. Even I knew that it wasn't what everyone thought it was, that he was going to be a superstar, and he has turned out to it right in front of our eyes. We're being blessed with this season from PCA. It's amazing.
I will say this. Christopher brings up a great point. It was a sick bat flip. Nobody's really talking about it right now, but it was kind of like he kind of spiked it into the ground when he hit it, which I still appreciate. Almost reminiscent of when he was in Iowa and Wandy Peralta threw at him twice, and then he absolutely tanked it. It was that kind of vibe. So certainly appreciate that. I just, when it comes to P. Crow Armstrong, to your point, right? He does everything to win. He does everything that, you want in a ball player. I don't want the season to end early. I hope we're not doing our season roundup show until November, mid-November.
Same.
For obvious reasons.
Yep.
But I can't wait to put your bold prediction on a fucking pedestal at the end of the season. Because you called it. I think everybody was optimistic in terms of the Cubs on Tap panel that he would have a good season. I think you were the only person that was kind of like, I think he's going to have a great season and nobody's seeing it. You said it early on, man. So kudos to you. Kudos to you for knowing ball, Nick. Kudos to you for knowing ball. Hank with I think a great point here as well. He's like, I'm losing track of all the PCA moments. It's like Javi in 2018 when he was the MVP runner-up. I just hope he's not the runner-up. And this was something you and I were talking about off air that I think is this transitioned perfectly.
Heck yeah.
I understand Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn in the sport of baseball, genuinely. And I appreciate everything he does. I don't care if it's in Dodger blue. It's good for the sport. It's good for baseball. It's going to keep this game around for a long, long time. And it's going to inspire more players that are hopefully to the level of him and PCA and these top stars in the league. But when you've got a 9 ERA, I don't care if it was one inning. I almost as funny as this sounds, I kind of hope he keeps pitching terribly. Because if Shohei Ohtani sucks at pitching, I don't care what he does with the bat. He doesn't play the outfield or any field for that matter. Just other than when he pitches, he's a DH. If P. Crow Armstrong keeps this up, statistically speaking, I think Jesse Rogers, I believe, put the note out a little bit earlier, and I'm going to try and pull this up here really quick so I can kind of word for word this one. Let's see. Let me find it. But anyway, while I'm looking for that, he's on pace statistically to not just have probably the best center fielder season in Cubs history, but one of the best outfielder seasons in Cubs history. And this was the note from Jesse Rogers earlier. Tonight, P. Crow Armstrong hit his 19th home run of the season. That is the most by a Cubs outfielder in the team's first 75 games of a season since Sammy Sosa did it in 2002.
Saw that. Yep.
When he had 26. P. Crow Armstrong, and that's the thing, right? I feel like center fielders outside of maybe prime Mike Trout are known as more the speed guys that play defense, right? Think Dexter Fowler. Think of yesteryears, David DeJesus when he was younger. Got to give the Cub legend some love. Reed Johnson when he was playing center field for the Cubs, right? Those guys were good bats are okay bats. They weren't great bats. There's very few, like I think up the middle in general in baseball, right? If you have a guy that plays up the middle in baseball that's an elite offensive and elite defensive player, that's a superstar.
Yeah, it is.
Because think about it, right? Your big slugging outfielders are typically guys that play in the corners. Your big slugging infielders are typically guys that play either first or third. You rarely ever have a good hitting catcher. There's very few of them in the league. Not everybody's Cal Raleigh, who's got 26 bombs or whatever.
I was going to say there's Cal Raleigh.
I love big dump truck. I wish that guy was a Cub.
Me too.
Your power typically comes from your outside positions. That's just the quote unquote norm.
Yeah, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm.
Craig Counsell said it tonight. He's playing PCA is playing center field at a level he's never seen before. And this is a dude that's played with multiple Hall of Famers. Pete Crow Armstrong right now could have a good enough season offensively where he's winning the Silver Slugger in center field easily. He is also playing Gold Glove defense at the position.
Yes.
Arguably Platinum Glove defense.
I was going to say
position.
Possibly Platinum Glove defense, yeah.
And on top of that, like he doesn't just hit homers. He hits for average. He steals bases. He can walk. He's electric. If this guy is not genuinely considered for the MVP award, I might shit a bag of bricks.
Yeah, it would be a sham in my eyes if that's
it. Would.
It will literally be a sham if he's not considered. He has to win it. Like if he stays on this pace, if he continues to do what he's doing, like you said, you laid out the thing perfectly. He steals, he hits, he's great at defense. He's like all the tools. And it's not like it's most valuable player. He is literally carrying the Cubs to this awesome record that they have right now. He has put the team on his back on several occasions and continues to do it. And he's just a young guy. Like you have to take that in consideration too. I mean, I feel like they have to. Shohei is a unicorn, but at the same time, he's been doing this for a while. PCA is a young dude who's just having a freaking great season.
100%. And Darren with a great point here. Speed, glove, maybe a leadoff guy with OBP is typically what's best at best for most star center fielders. That's 100% true. Pete Crow Armstrong, you will see 4-tool center fielders in Major League Baseball. Very rarely do you see 5-tool. The only one that I can recall in recent memory is pretty much Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, yeah.
Maybe a young Cody Bellinger when he was winning MVP awards. And even then, he was probably playing more right field and first than he really was center. Pete's doing it all.
Yes.
And, a great note here from Praz. Cubs haven't had a regular center fielder for 5+ years since Rick Monday in the 70s. PCA is about to lock that job down for hopefully 15 or more years. I agree. That's the other thing. He's 23 years old.
Oh, yeah. No, that's what I was trying to say. He's a young guy. You have to take that into consideration, that he's playing out of his mind and he's that young.
100%.
He's making this look like Little League baseball. Like he is all over the field. The other thing is he causes havoc. Absolute havoc on the base paths. Not even just stealing, but ground balls. People rush him. He just is so valuable to a team. And that's what the award is. Most valuable player. That's what it is. He is literally that right now. And you can't argue that. And you can point to Shohei, but like you said, he's not in the field. And he's not going to pitch well this year. He's going to have like an 18 ERA.
I hope so. But I think when it's all said and done too, like the way I look at it, yes, you might look at the lineup and say, well, Seiya Suzuki's OPS numbers are slightly better than PCA's. Tucker's are still at a 900. He had a 3-hit night tonight. We haven't even touched on that. There's other great players in this lineup. Don't get that twisted.
Sure.
But to your point, Pete Crow Armstrong, he comes in he's a very clutch player as well. Like the big play happens when the team needs it most. You need a stolen bag? PCA's got you. You need a crazy play on the base paths to disrupt the chaos? That's when PCA is going to come through. You need insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-run game. Yeah, PCA is going to nuke one 452 off the scoreboard.
Yep.
Oh, and then by the way, he also stole a potential extra base hit in the top of the inning. That's the type of things he's doing. So yes, maybe there are guys in this lineup that have better numbers on the surface, but that's the other, I think, kind of aspect of his game that nobody talks about in terms of the MVPCA discussion. And that is he's delivering in humongous moments. So you're 100% spot on, Nick, on that. He's coming through when this team needs it most. And when they do, he steps up and he's proving that he is worthy of the NL MVP. And I think it would be awesome to see him win that award this year. And I hope it means the Cubs as a team are winning some other hardware as well when it's all said and done at the end of the year. But neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. A good note here from Darren. How rare is it to get excited when watching a 23-year-old take a walk because he has the other tangibles down already? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And, like, I think the part of PCA's game, Nick, that I think I appreciate that also doesn't get talked about is his arm. Because we don't get to see it a ton, right? Like, it's hard from center field to really, like, throw guys out. But I think back to early in the season, that throw in, I think it was Arizona, right? It was like one of the first games of the year when he got Naylor going to third. And I don't care that it's Josh Naylor. That throw was unreal. Like, not many players in baseball are making that throw. Maybe Laureano was like the only
on the money.
Recent years I can think of in terms of that arm strength. I mean, it just continues to mind boggle. And it's not just Cubs fans. He's mind boggling baseball fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's getting some national coverage. And I also think that, like, having guys like Happ, Suzuki, and Justin Turner around him to just keep building that young player, keep molding him into something so great. Because when you are young and you're doing well in this league, there's going to be times when they figure you out. And even early on in the season, they started to figure out, well, if we throw the breaking ball down here, we might be able to get them. And then maybe a high fastball here. But when you have these veteran guys behind you that just support you, that's very underrated. And he even said tonight, like, he had an inside joke with Suzuki. He said, I had to match you. I had to do what you did. So this team has a lot of chemistry. And when you have the mix of the young guys and the strong veterans, and everything seems to be coming together really well. And that contributes to PCA's success, in my opinion.
Definitely. And I think, too, having a manager like Craig Counsell who not only allows young players to truly play through their struggles and learn. You know, we saw it. We saw David Ross try to balance playing young players in a playoff race, and he wasn't able to do it. Craig was. Craig did it last year, right? We saw PCA get tons of run, and he benefited from that, right? We've seen other players get a ton of run and benefit from it. Again, it's kind of a perfect storm. But that's just the nature of the beast. If you want a competitive ball club and you want young players to be able to thrive in an environment, you need good vets. You need a good manager. You need the foundational pieces in place in an organization, not just on a roster, in an organization to get the job done. And that allows a player like Pete Armstrong as a 23-year-old to flourish. And again, he's 23. Like, we're probably just scratching the surface of what PCA can be at the MLB level, which if that's the case, I'm telling you right now, Tom Ricketts, you start the GoFundMe and Cubs fans will help you pay for PCA. I promise. When the time comes.
That Brinks truck. That's all I'm saying. Back it up.
Back it up. Just give them partial ownership in like everything in Wrigleyville and just call it a day.
Kind of a side venture here, but does this change the Tucker extension if he has an MVP caliber season? If he gets
PCA
MVP,
has it?
Yeah. Do you think they just kind of divert from Tucker and put all their eggs in one basket, or do you think they're capable of splitting it? I don't think they're capable of getting both guys. Obviously, they don't need to do the decision right away. Right. But what if he keeps going up and up and up?
I think it makes for an interesting question at the end of the season, especially because the way it stands, like, there's probably going to be a strike after 2026.
It's looking like it.
And it might just be, and I'll tell you what, And I know it's a big if, but if they win the World Series, I think they're totally okay watching Tucker hit free agency, and
I
they'll
agree.
offer him something. And if he wants to come back, he comes back. And if not, so be it.
I agree.
Because then if you're Jed and everybody goes, well, you didn't get it done. And you go, yeah, but we won the fucking trophy. What do you want?
I feel like even if they get to the World Series, they're still going to have that mentality. That's just my opinion.
I think potentially. And again, and a lot of that is also going to, I think a lot of that's also going to come down. Let me correct myself. I think we will know more once the trade deadline comes and goes. Because if they trade a ton of outfielders, Kevin Alcantara, Owen Casey, those type of guys, I think they're expecting to take a real run at Tucker and keep him around. But if none of those guys depart the organization and it's like, hypothetically speaking, Jefferson Rojas and like James Triantos that are the big prospects that get dealt, or a Moises Ballesteros, and they hang on to an Alcantara or a Casey, I bet you they're thinking in the back of their head that the Tucker might not be a future adventure. And again, we're not going to know that. We're not going to know that probably for another month and a half. So,
sure,
it's hard to sit here and be like, well, yeah, but
it's getting closer though.
I think PCA winning it might encourage Tucker to want to stay because he's not just the guy. Like, you're the guy with 3 or 4 other like kind of studs on this team. Michael Busch, nobody's talking about Michael Busch's like 870 OPS.
We could talk about so many guys. Like, we could go, I feel like we could spend so much time on each guy. Like, there are so many guys. Like Suzuki too tonight. He changes the game with his bat. He's a good DH.
61 RBIs. And we're not even halfway through the year.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
Think about that, Nick. Think about that. And Pete Crow Armstrong's right behind him at 58. Mm-hmm. Like, both of these guys are on pace as it stands. Even if they don't get another RBI for the next 6 games. Sea's on pace for 122 RBIs. And PCA is on pace for, quick math, 116 RBIs?
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Wow.
Absolutely bonkers. Like, to the point where mentally can't even wrap my head around it sometimes.
It's like, true.
When was the last time that the Cubs had that level of numbers with guys?
And that came out of nowhere too, man. Like, I did not predict this at all. I had no idea it would be this good, but we've said it for years now. The key is going to be if Suzuki does really well. And I mean, he's really turned it on, and it makes it a lot easier for the other guys because they're going to see better pitches to hit. And just when you have a good guy in front of you, you know that you're going to be seeing more and more pitches. So that's 100%. Just how baseball works. And we had a couple guys last year that no one was really the guy that you circle in the lineup last year. And you're like, I cannot face him.
Mm-hmm.
Belly, but that was it, maybe.
And even
not then. Even. Yeah.
He was kind of a shell of himself.
Exactly. So this is a totally different scenario this year. And I didn't predict it. I don't think many Cubs fans predicted what we are seeing with this offense. I mean, it's insane.
It really is. You want to know something crazy? I'm going to put an asterisk on this because Rafael Devers was just recently traded to the Giants, obviously, which was huge news, right?
That was bonkers too.
The Chicago Cubs are the only team with 2 players to have 50 or more ribbies this season. The Giants technically do now that they've acquired Devers.
Now, yeah.
He and Wilmer Flores, of all people, have over 50 RBIs. Yo, Wilmer Flores is kind of a dog that nobody talks about. Absolute dog that nobody talks about. There was a clip I saw. I can't recall from where or from what, but they were talking about Wilmer Flores, and it was like a dugout story. And I think it was when he was a Met. And they were like, oh, Flores pinch hit for so-and-so. And like the guy that was telling the story was on deck. And he's like, hey, man, like, I got you. Don't worry about it. Like, just go up there and give your best. He goes, oh, no, game's going to be over. And sure as shit, he ended the game in the next at-bat. Like, Wilmer Flores is kind of a dude that just nobody talks about. Genuinely. Like I've had him on fantasy baseball teams for multiple seasons, and I tend to win because nobody talks about Wilmer Flores. Except me. Go. Apparently, I'm the only person that knows Wilmer Flores.
Secret weapon that you just released to the public.
Hey, 51 RBIs, man. Like, he's a good ball player. And it's funny because he only has a 731 OPS. But I say only. It's still better than league average. But, like, he hits with dudes in front of him. That's what he does best. You need a base hit, he's going to give it to you. Like, that's Wilmer Flores. That's what he does. But other than the now Giants, because of Devers' 59 RBIs, Pete Armstrong has 58. That ties him for 6th in the league. And then Suzuki is number 2, only to Pete Alonso, who has 63.
Wow.
It's pretty good company.
Didn't have that on my bingo card.
Yeah. Like let me just read you the top X number of names here. We'll read down to 12th place because technically the tie for 12th is 50 RBIs. Pete Alonso, Seiya Suzuki, Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, Rafael Devers, Pete Crow Armstrong, Eugenio Suarez, fucking guy just never ages, Kyle Schwarber, Wilmer Flores, Riley Green, James Wood, Ellie De La Cruz, Teoscar Hernandez. That's the list of every player in baseball with more than 50 runs driven in. That's pretty good company.
Yeah, that's very good company.
There's a lot of like former MVPs and a lot of silver sluggers and really good baseball players on that list.
Yep.
And don't forget the fact that Pete Crow Armstrong plays platinum glove of defense as well. So neither here nor there. Nick, before we look ahead to the rest of the Milwaukee series and before we, kind of call it an evening, a couple quick comments. One is just a note. The other is a question that I want to hear an answer from you from. First one comes from Darren. He says, I wish for Ricketts to commit the dollars as much as the signing of Tucker. Give Tuck the best offer you'll do early. If declines, keeps the dollar commitment and can still build a dynasty. I do think the Pete Crow Armstrong ascent has maybe changed not necessarily the desire to keep Tucker, the desperation to keep Tucker, I think is the better word.
Yeah, that is good.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Again, I think the trade deadline will give us a little bit of a glimpse into just what the headspace is for the Cubs entering the offseason. Yeah, but I think if you're Jed right now, you just look at this team and go, son of a bitch, we have a chance to win the whole thing. Like, let's just try to go win the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to.
And then the question here from Praz, do any Cubs pitchers make the All-Star game? He says he feels like with 2 more starts like he's had lately, Matthew Boyd has to be there. Do you concur, Nick, or do you have another name that others should consider for the Cubs? Remember, not a lot of bullpen guys really make All-Star games.
Bullpen guys don't make All-Star games.
Unless you're a closer. That's really the only time.
Yeah, and I can't see Palencia. I mean, he
doesn't have the numbers. That's
really all. He doesn't have the numbers or the amount of innings, too, probably.
If Palencia had like 15 saves, I would argue yes, because he's got like a 1-something ERA.
Yeah, his ERA is good, but
because the saves number is not there, that's what's going to keep him from getting in, which I think is dumb, but that's just how All-Star game works.
That's just how it goes. Yeah, and I don't think any Cubs pitchers are going to make the All-Star game, personally. I think Boyd would have to be God in order to make the All-Star game just because
he's got a 2.79 ERA.
I mean, yeah. He's doing really well, but I'm just saying that in the sense of he's just not that name that people are going to send to the All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like, he's just that guy that flies under the radar.
See, but the beauty of that is pitching is not voted on by fans. It's voted on by managers and players.
I had no idea that was the case.
Yeah, fans don't vote for pitchers.
Then that changes my answer completely.
I agree.
Yeah, because Boyd is doing crazy things. Like, that is arguably the best move that they made there.
Like, don't get it twisted. There are, and let me segregate this by NL because this will make my argument easier. Actually, no, it won't. Here we go, Press. This one's for you, buddy. Outside of Kodai Senga, who is just pitching out of his absolute mind recently with a 1.47 ERA, and then obviously Paul Skeens has a 1.78.
Yep.
Outside of that, the third to effectively 9th best ERA numbers in the NL are all between a 2.58 and a 2.79. Matthew Boyd is a 2.79.
Matthew Boyd's a 2.79.
And these are the names. This is the really fun part, all right?
Crazy.
Here is effectively the top 10 ERA names. This is in the National League. This is not all of baseball because obviously Scooble's in the AL and so forth. Kodai Senga, Paul Skeens. Logan Webb with a 2.58 ERA. David Peterson of the New York Mets with a 2.60 ERA. Freddie Peralta with a 2.60 ERA. Yoshinobu Yamamoto with a 2.64 ERA. Robbie Ray with a 2.68 ERA. Zach Wheeler with a 2.76 ERA. Chris Sale with a 2.79 ERA. And Matthew Boyd with a 2.79 ERA. If Matthew Boyd keeps it up, dude, I agree with Prez. If he has 2 more starts like he's been doing with like 1-run ball recently,
yep,
he is 1,000% on the fucking radar to make the All-Star team. And you can't convince me otherwise. Because I think to the point, it would be David Roberts' call. Boyd had 2 quality starts against the Dodgers. Yeah. But to the point of like, I think the people that make those decisions would also look around the league and go, well, the Cubs are first place in the National League Central. Justin Steele was gone for the year. Shota Imanaga's been hurt for the last month plus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but Matthew Boyd has locked the fuck in and arguably been their ace. Him and Jameson Taillon have been incredible.
Yep, they've both been great.
I don't know if he's a shoe-in, but I 100% have the argument for Matthew Boyd making the All-Star game. Which would give the Cubs at least 3 All-Stars.
Wow.
That's pretty spectacular. Pretty fucking spectacular. That was from a little bit earlier. Sorry, Darren. He says, full truth, Ron, fans don't have say on pitchers. Still, I think a little name cred politics make it hard for Boyd. I think they make it hard, but it's hard to deny the numbers.
It's hard to deny those numbers. And that's why when I thought it was the fans voting, I'm like, well, he'd have to literally be God himself. But since it's the managers, I think it makes it interesting.
To me, the only rule that will fuck Boyd over is that every team needs to have an all-star. That, to me, is the only thing that can screw them. Because think about it. The really terrible Chicago Cubs once sent Travis Wood to the All-Star game.
That's right.
Right? Like, that's a pitching spot that could have been taken away from a guy who was having a career year.
Yep.
So, again, there's an argument to be made for Matthew Boyd. But I'm not saying it's guaranteed. But, like, if you ask me, who are you pounding the table for from this Cubs pitching staff? Yeah, it's 100% Matthew Boyd.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he makes Juice and I look really smart. He makes Tyler look really dumb.
I was going to say, it makes Tyler look really dumb, right?
Which is kind of funny. not a shot at Tyler. I love Tyler.
No,
this is all for fun and shits.
No one would have expected Boyd to have the season he's having, especially with the injuries that the Cubs rotation has had.
Yeah, man.
It's unbelievable.
I thought Boyd could be good for this team. I didn't think Boyd would be this good for this team. If that makes sense.
It's crazy.
It's a good problem to have, though. Really good problem to have. One more question here from Axel Madison. What a name. Do you think the Cubs need an ace? Do you think the Cubs needing an ace would make them do a trade for Chris Sale? Sorry, I misread that. So apologies, Axel. It's possible.
I would love that.
I forget where I saw the argument. Again, I really need to keep track of this shit. I feel bad because I can't give proper credit. I want to give proper credit because this is not necessarily my organic thoughts. But it was a good point. And it was that the Braves are probably going to want borderline major league ready talent, right? They're not really going to want guys that are 6 and 7 years away. They're not in that business right now. And they're kind of in that like retool anyway.
Yeah.
The Cubs have those guys they can give them.
Yeah, exactly.
That are like AAA, kind of almost major league ready.
Right there to take that jump.
The key will be, though, pitching. Because, like, are you giving up Ben Brown? To me, that's the only name that Atlanta's probably going to ask for outside of Cade Horton. All your other pitching are
sure.
Unless you give away a guy who we're going to call no name. in the minors who's like close to ready and maybe just flying under the radar. Think like a Javier Assad was when he was coming up.
Yeah.
Unless you're giving away somebody like that, like who are you? Because they're going to want a pitcher if they're getting rid of Sale.
They're going to want a guy like Ben Brown. I'd rather do Brown over Horton. I think the upside with Horton's far more than with Brown. But you never know. Brown's got that awesome hammer. Like that curveball is great. And if he develops another pitch, he could end up screwing you on that move completely.
And that's the big key though, right? Like, can he develop a third pitch?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of ifs. And that's the whole thing with Horton. He's got a nice pitch mix right now, and he looks really good. His ceiling, too, I feel like it's higher than Brown. So if they would do a trade for Ben Brown and throw in A and B player for Sale, you got to do it. Sale is the guy that you want when you're going deep into the competitive, the end, the playoffs, all of it. He's the guy. So
I was going to say he's also a pitcher who is incredibly battle tested.
Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Battle tested. 100%.
Like he knows what it takes to win games in the playoffs. And here's the beauty. If you're talking in terms of the Cubs and like the strike and all that, Chris Sale fits the timeline perfectly. He's got an $18 million club option for next year. And then he's a free agent.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're getting essentially a year plus of control for Sale. So it probably costs you Brown. It probably costs you one of either Casey or Alcantara, if I'm being brutally honest.
I feel like Alcantara probably.
Or maybe even a James Triantos, but somebody of that vibe. Maybe a Moises Ballesteros. I don't know. But you're probably giving up like Brown, a top 10 prospect, and then probably like somebody else in like your 12 to 15, 17.
Yeah, just a throw in. Yeah.
And then maybe you're given like 2 additional prospects that are lower level guys at that point. But like that's kind of the core of that package is probably what it's going to cost to get Chris Sale. So do I think it's possible? Absolutely. But again, you're going to have a lot of other teams bidding for Chris Sale's services as well. If the Braves are truly selling, this is the problem that I have, and this is not a shot at Axel, because I think this brings up a great point that we as fans need to remember. At this time, 4 years ago, we were talking about the Cubs being buyers in 2021. And then they lost 10 straight games and they blew it up.
Yep.
It is way too early for the only teams that are guaranteed sellers are the Rockies, the White Sox, and the Pirates at this point, and the Marlins. And that's it.
Yeah.
Who else? Everybody else is mathematically still kind of in it. And you go on a little bit of a run in July.
Your point, yeah.
You got a lot of time until the deadline. There's a world where, because I gotta pull up the standings. Again, we want to be factually correct in this parts. Yes, the Atlanta Braves are 12 games out of their division, but they're only 7 games out of the wild card. You can make up 7 games between now and July 31st.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee that he's even going to be available. Now, don't get me wrong. If he is, make an effort and go get him.
Yeah.
I would rather overpay for a guy like Sale than a guy like Alcantara, I think, right now.
100%. Yep.
Obviously, Alcantara's got the upside and he's got
100%.
the youth, like he's got the control. I get all that, but that's going to make him more expensive. I'd almost rather go out and get the guy, like, if you're trying to win now and maybe next year,
you get Sale.
Go get the dude that's under contract for this year and next year. And then if he wants to retire at that point, maybe you win a World Series because of it. Cool. And you know how cool, you know how much it would piss off White Sox fans?
It would piss them off so much.
That might be the best part of the whole thing.
I think that is the best part, Ron. I think it is. That would be awesome. That would be electric. So cool. That would be legendary.
It would make me
I like
so
that
happy.
over Alcantara.
Yeah,
but Jed's not going to target a guy like that. He's more like, I don't want to say budget friendly, but he makes some really interesting strategic moves where he doesn't like go for the big fish right away,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong here.
Unless the Cubs jump the gun and trade for him early enough in July, he's just going to miss the White Sox series if that happens.
Damn.
I was hoping it was like the first weekend of August. You know how perfect that would be? Because it's on the south side. and you got Chris Sale trotting out there in a Cubs uniform. Oh my
Oh
God.
man, that'd be so
Nick, when I tell you it would be cinema, it would be cinema.
it would be cinema. That
The
would
Cubs
be
play the
cool.
White Sox the 25th, 26th, and 27th of July. So literally right before the deadline. That sucks.
Do
Damn
it
it.
early. Come on.
Oh, that would be so awesome. Fuck. Yeah,
We always have what next year too.
true. I mean, if they took his club option, 18 million bucks for Chris Sale ain't shit.
Come on.
I would pay him 18 mil next year because it's a
would
1 year
too.
deal, and there's no such thing as a bad 1 year deal.
Agreed.
I would do it.
Agreed. Yeah, it's a very interesting point there by Axel.
That's got me fired up. Thank you, Axel. That was fun. That gives us some faith there. Speaking of faith, Darren says got to give Ron credit. He made some faith in Boyd before he threw a pitch for Chicago. I did some research. Again, it's just educating yourself, folks. That's all it is. It's finding a reason to understand the why. And for me, it was, well, what changed for Boyd between his time in Detroit and his time in Cleveland? And I found it. It was the arm slot and his breaking pitches got better. And I was like, I bet you the Cubs like that. And they probably had a lot of intel because Carter knows guys in that Cleveland front office. So they probably got reasonable, before they signed him. Hey, give me the real here. Like, I'm not trying to pull a quick one on you. What did you see in Matthews you guys liked? What were you guys working with him on? No, we were trying this, we were trying that. Cool. We feel the same way. Great. Thank you. We're going to go pay him. And son of a bitch, it worked. That option year does take a little sting away if you get a high quality prospect or Brown. And that's in relation to the Sale discussion. That would be absolutely spectacular. Melon Smasher. Amazing name. PCA Gold Glove game-saving catch in the eighth. First pitch of bottom eighth, home run off the scoreboard. Brought tears to my eyes. Best eighth inning at Wrigley in a long time. He said 38,687 at Wrigley on a Tuesday today. Places an electric atmosphere. 100%. And then Mike says, I'd instantly buy tickets in the 108 if that happened. If Sale went to the White Sox. Pretty spectacular. It's good. A couple other good notes here from Mellon. Some of the stuff we've already talked about. Tyone takes the mound tomorrow. He's 5-0 in his last 5 starts, 33 innings, and a 191 ERA. Cubs money line tomorrow. Easy money in his pocket. Minus 150 odds. $150 pays out $250. And then he mentioned about Counsell and the pitchers that we were talking about and how good that 255 innings combined for a 245 ERA. Yeah, that plays. That fucks and that plays.
That'll work.
Nick, speaking of Jameson Tyone and speaking of the future, because we do need to look ahead, 2 more games on the horizon here for the Cubbies against these Milwaukee Brewers. It is not the end of the homestand, though. They will play the Seattle Mariners this weekend. We'll talk about that game more on Thursday night show, assuming nothing goes wrong with scheduling, but the plan is there will be a Thursday night show. Joey is already committed. Nick is a tentative as of now. I am also a very heavy tentative myself. Maybe I'll join you guys if it all works out. We could do a little trio panel. It's been a while since we've had a 3-person show. Nonetheless, Cubs got 2 more on the horizon. It's a 7:05 start tomorrow. On Wednesday, it will be, oh boy, I listened to Pat Hughes say this on the radio, and I'm going to fuck it up. Mizorowski?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mizorowski?
I think you can't look at it. You just got to say it.
Yeah, you just got to say it. Mizorowski is what I'm going to say, and I'm sure I butchered it, but it is what it is. He takes the mound tomorrow, a really good youngster for the Brewers.
Yeah, he's
really on the
good.
bump tomorrow for them. And then again, it is Jameson Tyone tomorrow for the Cubbies, 7-3 with that 3.48 ERA on the season. And then Thursday is one of those good old getaway day games. It's a 120 start at Wrigley. It'll be the first of 4 over the course of the weekend. Obviously, all the games this weekend will be 120 starts as they habitually are. Freddie Peralta will take the bump on Thursday against Cade Horton. So that should be a fun pitching matchup. In what I'm hoping is the Cubs going for a sweep and not the rubber match, but we will find out on the horizon. And then, of course, as we mentioned, after Thursday's show, it'll be a preview of that Seattle series. And then we'll get back to you guys on Sunday night as we have, because then St. Louis and Houston are on the docket for that following week on the road. And Melon Smasher with some notes here for us. Mizorowski, 6'7", 190. He did have 4 walks in 5 innings against the Cards. And he thinks that the Cubs will steal some bases because he walks them. I like that. I would love to see this Cubs team run. I feel like we've seen the power recently.
Got away from it a little bit. Yeah.
I would love to see this team run. And again, especially if the wind's blowing out, get guys in motion, make him miss on a pitch and let him throw a couple of cookies. Then you can execute the power and let guys slam it around. It's going to be warm. Tomorrow's not supposed to be as warm. It's supposed to rain all day, actually, before the game. So I wouldn't be shocked if the wind actually blows in tomorrow night. But Thursday, I would expect the wind to blow back out because it's supposed to warm up as we get into the weekend.
Gonna be warmer.
This weekend's going to be nuts. Whatever overs are happening this weekend, bet them because it's going to be like 90 degrees and that wind's going to be whipping out the dead center and it's going to be spectacular. Spot on with the pronunciation of Mizorowski's name. Good. Thank you, Pat Hughes. He walked so I could run and take it home. I agree with Melon Smasher as well. He says, work a walk, steal a base, slap a single or a double, play some small ball. I'm all for it, especially if the wind's blowing in. Nick, just plain and simple, what do the Cubs need to do over the next 2 days to come away with it? At least another series win.
Yeah, I'm hoping as well that they're going for the sweep against Peralta. They're going to face two pretty good pitchers here, Mizorowski and Peralta. I hope that Tyone tomorrow just goes out there and just shoves as he continues to do so that the talking heads on Thursday can just shut the fuck up, honestly, because I'm tired of hearing it. Because there can't be
But Nick, 6 innings and a quality start's hot garbage, didn't you know?
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely awful. No, Tyone's just been so good, so quietly good. So I just hope he continues. And honestly, I hope that the Cubs can take the pressure off of him and just let him go out there and pitch, just like you said, aggressive on the base pads, maybe play a little bit of small ball if the wind is blowing in. I like those gapper shots when you got a guy at first that has speed. If you hit into the gap, he most likely can score. So just play some small ball there. And then on Thursday, I would like to see them get to Peralta. I'd like to see them grind him out. He's a pitcher that if you get into a groove, he will beat you and he will go deep into the game as well and just hand it off to the bullpen to finish you off. So long plate appearances, hoping to see like Horner and Swanson really just work in the count. Even Bush at times can do it where he has long at bats and works those starters out of the game. That's what we need. We need to get Peralta out of there because he's one of those premier pitchers in the NL right now. He's really good. So if you can do that, I think you have a chance to get the sweep. It's just a matter of if this offense continues to click and hum. The Pirates series was a little disconcerting. They seemed like they were in a funk, but tonight made me feel like maybe they broke out of it a little bit with the wind blowing out. So hopefully they can continue and secure the sweep.
Yeah, there was some really interesting numbers I saw a little bit earlier on X about like the splits of this Cubs team at Wrigley versus away from Wrigley in terms of power, and it's a night and day difference. And again, a lot of that's the wind blows in early in the season. We all know how it operates. Hopefully now we're starting to get some real warm weather and like we'll actually see this ballpark play like it can in the summertime. And I think we'll see the Cubs break out a little bit. And I'll tell you what though, I think that goes back to a little bit of the small ball because in that Pirates series, there was a lot of solo power, and they had been doing that for a while, right? Going back to the Nationals series, the Detroit Tigers series, their lone win, they had 5 homers and 4 of them were solo shots. Like they've been hitting home runs, but it's with guys on base, right? Like what Seiya Suzuki did tonight. That's why a 3-run home run is amazing and it's huge, and that's a tide turner. You want more of those. So I think especially on Wednesday night, take advantage. If Mizorowski is going to walk guys, take advantage and then really hit him for the power. Really try to take advantage of having those runners on base. And then again, if it's a little cooler and you got to play small ball, get back to playing small ball. This team's absolutely able to smack the ball around the yard and run and be smart base runners. I kind of missed that part of the team that we saw in April. And it'd be cool to see a little bit more of. Darren here. Spot on, Nick. So fun having a Cubs team this year and watching the pitch count in the second inning. They score late and they beat up bullpens. 100%. And then Melon Smasher, hard to beat the Cubs at Wrigley. It really is. And I hope that continues. when it's all said and done. Nick, as always, want to remind everybody that Cubs on Tap is one of two shows here, the On Tap Sports Network, that cover your Chicago Cubs. Check out our friends over at the Dingers podcast. They are at Dinger Cubs on the socials, and they're live on Monday nights here on the On Tap Sports at YouTube, which you should subscribe to. You should like all our videos. You should hit those little bell buttons, because then you know when we go live, you know when the Dingers guys go live, you know when all our other great shows go live as well. Be sure to follow us at Cubbies on Tap on the socials. Nick and I's handles are here on the screen, or if you're listening in podcast form, all of the handles are in the podcast description. You can follow the entire crew there. And you guys know how it goes. Bulls, Bears, Blackhawks. It's a little dead in the world of Bears football right now, but the Bears on Tap guys still got you covered there. Shit's about to get real fun for the Four Feathers crew and the Bulls on Tap crew, with free agency and the draft around the corner for both of those respective sports. So be sure to tune in and see what's going on there. And of course, as always, Cubs fans, you got friends that like the Southsiders. They're actually watchable now. And they're on Comcast now. So if you have friends that like the Southsiders, just like we do, you can send your friends to our friends. Let them all go be friends at Sox on Tap. Those guys actually just ran on Sunday night, and it was a great show for Steve and Besnick. So be sure to send your friends over there. Melon Smasher says his first time coming across our page. Gave you guys a like and subscribe. Cubs content about to blow up this summer. Well, we appreciate you, Melon Smasher. And I will be excited to see the name Melon Smasher routinely in our comment section.
I love that name.
An electric addition to some of the good ones. We've got some good ones. We've got a lot of consistent commenters, and genuinely we appreciate the hell out of all of you guys, because you guys help make this show a really fun experience as well. Again, when we can use your comments as a part of our discussion, that's really, I think, what makes it feel like you guys are a part of our show as well. And I think that's a little bit of that Cubs on Tap difference, and really the On Tap Sportsnet difference. So certainly encourage you guys all to check that out. And of course, OnTapSportsNet.com and at On Tap Sportsnet on the socials, the On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Nick, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. It's always a pleasure to chat with you after a Cubs victory, especially. Things are humming. 6.5 games up on the Brewers, 7 up on those other two pesky teams that were red in the division. What do you say, buddy? We got it the only way how it comes on tap?
Yeah, fuck the Fugazi Cardinals.
Fuck the Fugazi Cardinals. Fuck those Brewers, too. That was a nice meme from you tonight, my friend. And let's go Cubbies.